Hello, my name is Dustin Draper. I'm an attorney here at the Packard Law Firm, and if you're watching this video, your case is now at step 2 in the Social Security Disability Application process, meaning that your case has now been transferred to the DDS office. And in this video, I'm going to explain everything you need to know about your case at this stage. If this is the first time you're watching one of our videos, I encourage you to like the video and also subscribe so that when we release upcoming advice videos, you'll be the first to see those and you can apply them and increase your odds of getting your case approved as fast as possible. So in today's video, we have an outline of the things that we want to talk about. But before we get into all of these details, I want to take a few minutes and talk about an important concept that comes up anytime you hire an attorney, and that is teamwork. And so it's important to take a few minutes and think about what makes an effective team work. And this is critical to your disability case because if we work well together as a team, then your odds of winning are significantly higher. And if we don't work well, then it will slow down the process and it lowers your odds of winning. And so there's 3 things that all effective teams do that are important. And these 3 things are a big part of the reason why I'm making this video so that you can see that. So the first thing is that all effective teams, in an effective team, everyone knows what to expect. Also, everyone knows what their role is. And finally, everyone knows what to expect of their teammates. And so, again, we have this outline, and we're going to be talking about precisely those 3 concepts. You'll see what Social Security is doing, what we're doing as your attorneys to help your case get approved, and then finally the things that you can do to help. As the saying goes, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. And that was Helen Keller. So with that introduction, let's go ahead and talk about what to expect at step 2. So before we get into details on this specific step, let's take a minute to go over the big picture timeline. So when Social Security processes these cases, you do an initial application. That's the first stage. And the initial application process there's really 2 steps to this. If that is denied, then you can file a reconsideration appeal. And if that gets denied, you can request a hearing in front of a judge. And then finally, you can appeal a judge's denial to an appeals council or even to district court. And of course, at any of these 4 levels, your case can be approved, and hopefully the sooner the better. So with that big picture in mind, let's talk about the initial application. And so within our way of framing these cases, the first 2 steps of getting benefits are at the initial application. And so your case is at step 2, where the case is now transferred to the DDS office, and this normally takes 3 to 5 months. At the end of this step, Social Security will make their first decision of whether or not you're disabled. And the goal at this step is for Social Security to do a medical evaluation of your case and determine if you meet Social Security's definition of disability. And now what I'd like to do is talk about a little bit more in detail about specifically what Social Security does to determine if you meet their definitions of disability. And this is real important because a lot of times as your case, once your case gets to this stage, there's not a lot of information that you're receiving from Social Security. And so clients often wonder, what exactly is Social Security doing with my case? Because it's been 3 months and I haven't heard anything. And so let me lay that out for you. So the first thing Social Security does is they transfer your case to the DDS office. And it's helpful to illustrate the way this works. So, and I'm going to use the state of Texas here as an example, but really every state operates the same way. So these there's these Social Security field offices that you're likely familiar with. These are the ones where you go in, they have really long wait lines. Maybe you've gone in to get a Social Security card, or maybe you went to apply. Hopefully not, because it takes forever to do it that way. But there are these offices, and they're all over the state. And in big cities, there's lots of them. In San Antonio, there are actually 4 of them. And so all of these offices, they gather these disability applications. And once they receive them all, they transfer them all to one centralized office. And in Texas, that office happens to be in Austin. And that office is known as DDS. And DDS stands for Disability Determination Services. Once DDS receives your claim, they will assign it to an examiner who's in charge of deciding whether or not you're disabled. The first thing the examiner will do is order all of your medical records. They get that information from the initial application that we file for you, or you may have filed on your own. They will also request your testimony. Now, they don't do this by calling and taking a recording statement. Instead, they'll send out a packet to you in the mail with 2 forms for you to fill out. One is called a work history report. The other is a function report. Here's what the work history report looks like. These are questions asked about the jobs you've done over the past 15 years. This is the function report, and these are a bunch of questions that cover your ability to function in your daily life. Essentially, they're trying to understand how your disability affects your ability to do your normal routine activities. And 90% of the time, all they send out are those 2 forms. Every once in a while, they'll send out a 3rd form, which is called a third-party function report. And it's just like the regular function report, but they're asking maybe a family member or somebody who lives with you to answer questions about your ability to function, at least how they observe it. Those aren't very common, so I won't spend a lot of time talking about that. So also, it's important to know that the work history and function report, this is essentially your testimony. So Social Security doesn't allow your attorney's office to answer these questions for you. You have to be the one to answering the questions. Now, we can help. We can answer questions if you have, or if you're confused, but we can't just sit down and write it out for you. And I know that's kind of frustrating because it is a lot of questions that they'll be asking. But we do have a few things that will make filling out the work history report and function report much easier. So, and I'll get to that a little bit later in the video. So after receiving the function report, work history report, the examiner will take a look at all the evidence, and they will determine if it's necessary to gather more evidence. And if needed, they may have you go to an independent medical evaluation. These are called consultative exams. And when you receive these in the mail, they look like this. They simply will give where you're going to get the exam, what type of exam they're going to do, and the day and time. They also include a phone number to call in case there's a conflict with your schedule and you can't attend the meeting, or if some emergency happens and you miss the consultative exam. So you receive that number as well. Now, most of the time they don't request these exams. So if you don't receive this, don't worry. It doesn't mean that they're going to deny your case necessarily. It really depends on the examiner. After the examiner receives the consultative exam, at this point they pretty much have all the evidence, and they will take it all and they will send it to a medical doctor to review and offer a medical opinion as to your limitations. Once that doctor issues their opinion and submits it to the examiner will finally make a decision of whether you are disabled under Social Security rules. And once they make that decision, they transfer your case back to your local Social Security field office, and the field office will actually mail you a letter. And at this stage, the majority of cases are denied. So it's about 20 to 25% of cases get denied at the initial claim. Now, if you are over 50, your odds of winning are significantly higher, but most people do get denied. And this is what a denial letter looks like. The key word here is what I've highlighted. It says you don't qualify, and this is because you are not disabled under our rules. And as your attorney, there's a saying, you hope for the best, but you prepare for the worst. So just keep in mind that if Social Security does deny your case, that is just part of the process, and we are prepared to fight them on that. We're kind of expecting them to deny the case. All right. Now let's talk about what the Packard Law Firm will be doing on your case during this process. There's a number of things that we do, but these are the main ones. First of all, we submit all of your supporting documents for you. There's a lot of information that Social Security needs to go through their timeline. For example, they need a medical release from you. Well, we go ahead and we don't wait for them to ask for that. We submit that with your initial application. And we, of course, keep receipts of that. We track your case also to ensure that it does get transferred to DDS. Every once in a while, these cases will get lost in Social Security's system, so we do track that to make sure there's no problems there. We also will submit your work history report and function report, and we will typically do this prior to Social Security requesting this, and this will save your case a significant amount of time because the examiner doesn't have to mail you out a letter and wait for your reply. We will just submit it before they even ask for that. Now, we do need your help to be able to do that, because if you don't fill out the work history or function report, then we don't have anything to submit. And again, we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. We also keep copies and receipts of everything. It's not uncommon for Social Security to misplace documents that you submit, which is why it's very important to keep copies of everything. And we've handled thousands of cases, so we've learned the hard way how important it is to keep copies of everything and proof that you've submitted them. We also will monitor your case and check in with Social Security if the process does seem to be taking too long. Now, Social Security goes through ebbs and flows. Sometimes they are very efficient, they process these cases quickly, and you get decisions in a timely fashion. However, it's very common for them to experience significant delays, but we are there to be checking on it just to make sure that they're continuing to work on the case. And then finally, we will provide periodic updates to you. We do this through the Case Status app. If you don't have that app, you can download that. We can send you a link so that you can download it. It's very easy to use. If you would rather not use that app, then we still will give you updates, and we will do it through a text message. And so you'll get these text messages periodically letting you know what's going on. And if there are no updates, we'll let you know, hey, we are still working on it. We're monitoring it. There are no updates. And you'll get those by text. And you can even reply to those text messages, and we will receive that, and we can kind of communicate that way. Now, the final component here, and this is most important to you viewing this video, is what you can do at step 2. And so I'd like to take most of our time to focus in on what you can do to help increase your odds of winning. So there are really 3 main things that are critical for you to do at this stage. And I'm going to throw in a 4th idea here, which is not required, but it does increase your odds of winning. The first thing is, it's important that you view our new client webinar on YouTube. This is an extensive video that we've posted, and it includes really a paradigm for how to think about your case and the things that you can do to maximize your chances of getting approved. And it's very detailed and very helpful. I've included a link to this video in the information of the video you're watching here so that you can quickly navigate over to that. But it's very important to watch that video if you haven't already. Second, you need to be checking your mail regularly. Social Security is supposed to be sending copies of everything to us as well as you, but sometimes they won't do that. Sometimes they may send it only to your attorney. Sometimes they may send it only to you. So just to make sure that we don't miss anything, If you do receive any papers from Social Security that we haven't already discussed here, what a good practice is to just snap a picture of the first page and send it to us. And you can do that through case status. You can just send us a message. There's a little link to include a photo. Of course, you can also text us, and you can do that on you can just reply to those texts where we send those periodic updates on your case. And you can just send a picture of the first page. We don't take a picture of every single page in the packet. These forms that they're sending, they're all form letters. So we'll know just by reading usually the first paragraph, I can know exactly what Social Security is needing from you. And most of the time when you send that to us, we'll let you know that you don't need it, or we may have already submitted it. But it's a good idea just to send it to us so we can keep that in mind. Third is completing your function report and work history report. If you do this ahead of time, it really can save time in the process, and you can get a decision faster. Now, we've created a system to do this very quickly, and it is through basically a form that you fill out on your phone, or you can do this on your computer. Now, in the information section of this video that you're watching, I've included links to the function report and the work history report. And you click on those links and it will open up a form and it will ask you all the questions, and you just fill it out at your own pace. There are a lot of questions, so if you need to stop, take a break, or if you get interrupted, you can save the form that you filled out and then come back to it and finish it later. Now, if you don't want to fill it out on your phone or your computer, some people just want to do it with a pen and paper, you can request us. We can send you a copy of that. You can even look it up online, but we're happy to mail you a copy of the function report and work history report. And then you can send that back to us or scan it in and email it to us, and we will submit it to Social Security. All right, and now the fourth thing, which is this is a medical opinion form. Now, and I'll show you an example of what this looks like. So a medical opinion form is just a questionnaire for your doctor where they offer their medical opinion about what your limitations are. Now, most doctors have a policy of not filling these out. But if you have good rapport with your doctor, you can ask them to fill it out, and it really does help increase your odds of winning, because Social Security sees that your doctor is supportive and they really think that you are disabled. And we can send this form to you. We can either mail you a PDF. We can also send it to you by email. We also have a link that I'll include in the description of this video, and we can send you the link if needed. And this link, what you can do is you just copy it, and if you have one of those patient portals where you communicate with your doctors, if you upload it to that portal, your doctor can actually fill it out on his phone. It makes it a little bit faster for the doctor, and that can be helpful. Keep in mind that we are willing to reimburse the doctors for taking the time to fill out the form, up to $75. So we know their time is valuable, and so that is an option that you can tell your doctor when you ask them to fill it out. All right, so those are the main things you can do at this stage. Now, a few final points that I want to make, and they have to do with how to communicate with Packard Law Firm. So first, let's talk about when you need to contact Packard Law Firm. All right, so the first thing is, if your address or phone number changes, please do let us know. And you can do that by text or through the Case Status app. You can also email us too, if you'll have your paralegal's email, and that's you can use that. Also, people always want to know if they should contact us if they get once they get medical treatment. In general, no. When you go to see your doctor, if you've already told us about that doctor, we don't need to know every time you go or every little thing, like if the doctor adjusted your medication. You don't need to let us know. In fact, that really slows us down. The only time you need to contact us about medical treatment is if you go to a new clinic or a hospital that you haven't told us about previously, or if you have some major medical development. This would include hospitalizations, surgeries, or an MRI or other imaging that has severe findings. So if you get an MRI, wait till you get the report, look and see if it says severe. If you see the word severe, do let us know. You can just send us a copy of the report. Finally, if you get a prescription of an assistive device like a cane or walker, it would be helpful if we get a copy of that prescription. And finally, if your doctor gives you anything in writing describing an opinion of your limitations. So if he writes you a letter that says you should not be standing more than X number of minutes, something like that, let us know. Usually that's going to be just a single page. You can even just send us a copy of that. So those are the only times you need to contact us about medical treatment. Finally, if Social Security sends you any letters that you don't understand, just snap a picture of the first page and send it to us on case status or through a text if you're not using case status. Also, let's talk about some things not to do at this stage. The first and most important thing for you not to do is to please do not send us copies of all of your medical records. Okay, this will significantly slow down the process, and this takes us away from things that we're doing that are actually helping you win. We don't need copies of those medical records unless we ask you for them. If you have them, you can keep them and organize them, and maybe in the future we will need them, but don't send them unless we ask. Also, do not contact us every time you go to the doctor. Or like minor changes like a new medication. We don't need those types of updates. Also, please do not stop getting medical treatment. The medical treatment is the most important thing that establishes your disability. That's the ammunition that we're using to fight your case. So do everything you can to continue getting medical treatment. I know sometimes that's easier said than done, but do the best you can. Lastly, and this is more theoretical, but it is helpful advice. Don't focus on things you cannot control. And the thing I'm thinking of when I give this advice is the timeline. It's important to remember that there are a lot of things you can do to help increase your chances of winning your case, but there are very few things you can do to make the process go faster. And I always tell people that a good disability attorney can do a lot to help you win your case, but there really are not tricks to making the process go faster. The two exceptions are if you are terminally ill or you receive an eviction or foreclosure notice. Okay, but outside of that, the process will go at the pace it's going to go. And so there's just really nothing you can do on that. It's best to focus your energy on the medical treatment, doing everything you can to get the best medical treatment possible. All right, and then the last thing we'll talk about here are the best ways to contact the Packard Law Firm. Now, the person who always will have the most up-to-date information, the most detail about your case is your case manager, who is a paralegal. Okay, some people call them paralegal, some people call them case managers, but you have a paralegal case manager that is assigned to your case, and they're the ones that are tracking it. They know the most up-to-date information. They also have extensive training. They know Social Security extremely well. And the best way to get in touch with your case manager is through Case Status. Again, it's a very simple app to use, and I strongly encourage you to use that. And now, if you don't have the Case Status app or you don't want to use that, then the best way is through just sending us a text message. And if you reply to those text messages where you get the status updates, then that works just as well as messaging us through Case Status. Also, it is good to know that we are flexible in terms of how you reach us. your case manager can be contacted by phone, text, and email. And every phone number at the Packard Law Firm can receive texts and faxes. That's good to keep in mind. And case status, if you're not sure what the direct contact information is for your case manager, you can find all of that in case status, or you can just ask us. We can give you all that information. And you're getting your paralegal's direct contact information. Of course, sometimes your clients do want to talk to their attorneys. If that is the case, I encourage you to try resolving your concern with your case manager first, but they can also arrange for a meeting with your attorney. Okay, and then one final special request. Try your very best not to send the same message on multiple channels, on texting, email, phone, by phone, like by a voicemail. All right, this is one aspect of the teamwork that really can cause lots of problems on your case. Just remember, we're in this together. We have every incentive to get your case approved. As you're a law firm, we don't receive a penny unless your case gets approved. And so anytime we're spending resources doing anything that's like replying to multiple messages from you by like an email and a message, a text, it's really just wasting our time, and we're not using it on something that can actually help you win. Keep in mind that our promise to you as our client is that anytime you contact us, we will contact you within 24 hours. And this is actually a big reason why I love case status. When I have case status, when you're using that to communicate with us, I can actually see exactly how long it took us to reply to any of the messages that you send us. So I can actually see if the paralegals are standing up to this promise to get back in touch with you within 24 hours. Okay, so that's all we're going to talk about today. I hope this was helpful. And again, we're here. If you ever have any further questions, please reach out to your paralegal. Thank you and have a great day. Bye.